Give it up for Edison House. Thank you so much for having us here at Edison House for the next 2 days. This is the retail track, part of Silicon Slopes Summit, which does not exist without Jeremy Brockbank. Is Jeremy here? Jeremy, please give it up for Jeremy Brockbank and everyone at Retail Collective. This is incredible. He's programmed this whole thing. Thank you. And Retail Collective, everyone check out what he does. Excited for this panel. I'm going to hand it over and enjoy. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. I'd like to just introduce each other and the company we're with. I'll start and we'll just go down. So my name is Don Brett. I'm the president of Pattern Advisory. Pattern, if you haven't heard, we help brands accelerate their e-commerce business. We're in Lehigh, and we'll do about probably $2 billion this year. We did about $100 million about 10 years ago, so the company's a rocket ship. If you haven't heard of it, please check it out. It's a great company.
Hi, I'm Susan Peterson. I am the CEO and founder of Freshly Picked. We don't share our revenue externally, otherwise I'd blow your socks off like you did. And I'm excited to be here.
Hi everyone, Suzanne Campbell. I'm the Director of E-commerce Business Development at Opella Consumer Healthcare. That is a mouthful. Formerly Sanofi Consumer Healthcare. We have 13 brands in our US portfolio. Household names, you may know Gold Bond, Icy Hot, Allegra, lots of fun brands like that people know.
My name is Matty Gay. I'm one of the co-founders of Primo Golf. We do golf apparel, kind of focused on clothing for the athletic golfer. And we started about 4.5 years ago and have really benefited from the boom in golf since COVID. So, yeah.
Great, I'm Jeff Durham. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Durham Brands and Gimme Beauty, our flagship brand. We're in about 25,000 retail stores, so we really have loved disrupting beauty. We rode the wave of COVID, beauty became really hot, and just grateful to be here. And we just signed up with Pattern, so shout out to Pattern.
Hello everybody, my name is Brent Burden. I'm one of the other moderators today, looking forward to hearing from the panel. I am the Senior Vice President of Sales for Lumino, which is the highest growth oral care brand in the last 5 years. We're national in about 25,000 doors as well, and also the leading whitening brand on Amazon the last 3 years. So we're enjoying disrupting a very legacy-laden category. And again, just excited to hear from the group here today.
All right, awesome. So we're going to talk about the role of digital merchandising, and as we were prepping last week, we really brainstorming, and I think it was also Susan who said, well, why don't we make it so that we actually deliver value? We're able to deliver some succinct points that you all can take action on as executives and leaders. So our intent is to be helpful and give you actionable insights as you leave the session today. And we will leave about 20 minutes for Q&A. So just heads up there. So Jeff, I want to start with you. As you mentioned, you're the co-founder and CEO of Durham Brands, Gimme Beauty. As a CEO and a leader in the space, how do you see digital merchandising evolving this year and next, especially with brands like Gimme Beauty distributed across so many different retailers?
Yeah, great question. And as everybody knows, digital anything evolves at the speed of light. And so we're just evolving as fast as we can. And I'm going to speak a little bit more from an omni-channel perspective, because we have a lot of brick and mortar, and how do you tie digital merchandising into that? So let me just give you a little bit of context from the brand. We've been at this for 15 years as Gimme Beauty. We launched into Walgreens and locally had little hair accessories for little babies, so similar to Freshly Picked. But we grew that and got into the older adult women products. We're now in hair ties, brushes, claw clips, anything you need that's not a lotion or potion within beauty. But this last year we offered a 4-foot section at Target, and it's put our brand on the map in big ways. We then got into Ulta Beauty. We're knocking on the doors of big salon chains like Salon Centric. They're probably going to take us on this year. So the question I've been rolling around in my mind is, how do I create value, give you value from my perspective. And so what I would say is, I'm going to use a case study and just say, in July when we were given this 4-foot section, what we did is we tried to attach digital to the in real life experience. So we sent 80 creators to Target across TikTok, across all the social platforms. They went and did a Target haul. They showcased the pictures of our 4-foot section, and then they put that up digitally online, and then a lotion or potion within beauty. But this last year, we got offered a 4-foot section at Target, and it's put our brand on the map in big ways. We then got into Ulta Beauty. We're knocking on the doors of big salon chains like Salon Centric. They're probably going to take us on this year. So the question I've been rolling around in my mind is, how do I create value, give you value from my perspective? And so what I would say is, I'm going to use a case study and just say, in July when we were given this 4-foot section, what we did is we tried to attach digital to the in real life experience. So we sent 80 creators to Target across TikTok, across all the social platforms. They went and did a Target haul. They showcased the pictures of our 4-foot section, and then they put that up digitally online. And then when they go to our retail.coms or our presence, they have a similar hair ties by hair type, and it looks the same in store as it does in the. So I think number one principle for me is, if you can go omni-channel, if that's your jam, then embrace it and be consistent across your digital merchandising, and let your creators and talent showcase that message in a consistent way. But in 2025, I think the future of digital merchandising for us is customization. We customize your products by hair type, but we customize the experience by you and your IP address, trying to give you a custom experience. We cater to your hair type and segmentation through our email and text. We're bringing out artificial intelligence and things like that to cater and customize. So that's my keyword of the year, is customization.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Susan is founder and CEO of Freshly Picked. Freshly Picked is always focused on empowering moms with beautiful and functional products. How do you envision digital merchandising strategies evolving in 2025 to better connect with niche audiences like moms?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. So baby is actually kind of a hard space, because we've had the big places where mom, like Nordstrom has now gone only a drop ship program for their baby, and then Bye Bye Baby shut down. I don't know, 100 and something locations a few years ago. And so it's hard to figure it out. But what we've done first is we brought fulfillment in-house right in 2019, so perfect timing. And then we really worked on getting enough software in for drop shipping, because that's where people want. That's a lot of big brands will do. I don't know, did you have to do that with Target first? A lot of big brands will want to do that. And so you have to have the tech in place in order to do that. So I don't really consider moms niche, but we'll go with that. I think that we always try to be like, where are moms hanging out? Where are new moms hanging out? And when I very first started Freshly Picked, I was over at a friend's house, and she was breastfeeding a baby. And she was scrolling on Instagram, which at the time, Instagram was the only social platform that lent itself to a one-finger scroll. And like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh, moms are hanging out on Instagram. They only have one hand to do something, so they are not interested in a two-finger scroll. And since that thought, and since that, we have always really tried to understand where mom's hanging out. And so whenever we create a new product, whenever we partner with a new brand, whenever we go into a new space, we're like, is mom here? What is she doing? What does she look like? And we're creating these archetypes of these moms and making sure that we're we're serving her on all of those places.
That's excellent. Great answer.
Awesome. So, Maddie, as we think about you, you're the co-founder of Primo Golf, which since we've had our prep sessions the last 2 weeks, I've been getting Instagram ads. So nice job tapping into my phone.
Good.
Yeah.
Everyone will from now on.
Yeah. Primo Golf has grown by catering to the athletic golfer. How do you think about digital merchandising helping brands like yours enhance visibility and personalization as we think about 25 and 26?
Yeah, for us, the key has always been to try our best to stay relevant. And like when we started, the product that kind of got us our start were our golf joggers. And I made sure to wear them today so that everyone can kind of get an idea. They're like these pants that are like a little bit too tight, a little bit too short. It's like some people hate them, you know. And when we launched the golf joggers, it was crazy to see on social media the reaction, because some people, golf is such a traditional sport that we almost didn't even realize how, it's kind of silly to call it a controversial item because it's just a piece of clothing, but people are so passionate about what they wear that they instantly just like, whether you loved them or hated them, you noticed them. And so it was a really, it's easy to look back and say we did it on purpose, but we just created a product that we love. So for, the first few years, the joggers, and they still are our top selling product, but it was a way to stay relevant and to be different from the other brands. So now that we're still a relatively young company, 4.5 years in, but we don't want to continue to rely just on one thing to make us relevant. So we've this last year we've just been brainstorming, like, how can we still stay in people's mind. So our big thought has been, we trademarked the phrase golfers are athletes. And I think that some people have very differing opinions on that, whether golfers are athletes. Some people don't think golf is a sport. Some people definitely think golf is a sport. We are definitely taking on the idea that golf is a sport, golfers are athletes. So, we're at the beginning stages of that, but it's our goal to stay relevant, make sure that our audience feels like our brand is alive and is not losing touch with like what is happening in the golf industry. So it kind of shows through in our digital, digital merchandising, like it on our website, on our social media, on our ads. We just make sure that we're hitting this message and people feel like they're seeing a brand that cares about their customers and gives them somewhat of an identity to connect with. Because as golf has gotten so popular, I think it was a little bit easier a couple years ago, right at the beginning of COVID, to get into the industry, but now it's a little bit harder. There's more brands. So we got to make sure that we have a brand that people care about. So, there's a lot of things that work and some that don't. So it's just a matter of making sure that we're constantly trying to stay relevant.
Awesome. Thanks, Maddie.
A question for Suzanne, who's the Director of E-commerce Business Development and Emerging Platforms at Opella Consumer Healthcare. It's a mouthful. With your extensive experience in digital and omni-channel growth, how do you see digital merchandising transforming retail in 2025, particularly for healthcare and consumer goods?
Yeah, so I think that 2025 is really the year that both brands and retailers alike have this opportunity to essentially tell the shopper what to buy and explain why to buy it, right? So to really deliver this simplification in the digital shopping journey, whereas, when you think about the space and the categories in general, there's a sea of product out there. And it's sometimes hard, especially in the healthcare space and the consumer goods spaces. It's incredibly difficult to know what do I need for my need state right at this moment, right? So for us specifically, this is the year of cutting the complexity for the consumer. And we do that, or we will do that through, the marriage of this data that we now have, which we'll talk more about how we get that in a few minutes. The data, the tech, and the dynamic content all together to really explain to the shopper and deliver the right product at the right time in the right place at the right price. electronically, right? So digitally. This is, I've been in this space for a long time, and to see us get to this place in time is just, I think it's going to be very transformative for the entire retail ecosystem in 25.
And for those that don't know, Opella Healthcare, I was just looking this up, brands like a Icy Hot, Gold Bond, Selsun Blue, etc. Jeff, to you, again, as you're leading Give Me Beauty, what role do you think emerging technologies like AI will play in improving digital merchandising, and what product offerings for consumers in the coming years?
Like this question, and again, evolving at this point, I think there's an opportunity for us to engage in tech. One of the things that I've tried to do is really rally around brands. So that are at varying levels of complexity, maturity, and counsel product circle peers that help you run faster. But jumping in, I think things like artificial intelligence, month after month, can generate ads and brand my AI customer service experience. And I can insert artificial intelligence into my communities. And so the same thing happens with your product pages and your collection pages and your experiences on the website. For us, it's a lot about bringing ambassadors into the mix. It's about having storytelling and moments. So it's an interesting clash of tech and heart, and bringing in that feeling of brand. You don't want to feel like you insert so much tech that you scare away your consumer. And again, where we've got distribution across retail stores, how do you bring that tech even into retail environments? You hear of brands like Zara who are bringing in augmented reality. You take your phone and open up their app, and you can see a model wearing the dress that you're looking at, and she'll look real and virtual and live, and lets you see how the dress fits, how it feels. So similar things in our environment of beauty. It's to your point about making sure the education cuts quick, like you're simple and to the point. If you can curate and say, oh, you've been here before, you have thick hair, let me give you options that are curated through either artificial intelligence or segmentation that bubble up to you based on your hair type. And our chats can jump in and say, hey, you got a question? Do you have thick hair? And then it starts to feed them these ads that curate to their uniqueness. And I think that's, again, what the customer wants. They want quick education, but they also want to have something that's quickly served up to their unique needs. And the more we can be intelligent with our data management, and I'll give a shout out also to a software solution called Bridge, BRIJ, where they can take consumer insights through QR codes in our retail products that, again, allow us to, for the first time in a long time, have, I won't say control, but ownership of consumer data from the retail experience that feeds them back. So once they go to the Target store, buy a hair product, and they scan the QR code to get a free something, I can then circle back with, okay, now you're in my Amazon store, you're in my Target.com. You can now experience, based on the insights I gathered, customization.
Thank you.
That's excellent. Susan, what innovations do you foresee in showcasing products like baby moccasins digitally to improve the online shopping experience and specifically drive conversions?
I forgot I had a microphone. Such a good question. I think I love what Jeff just said about Zara. Like, it's super interesting and important as people are buying stuff online, specifically like consumer goods products like shoes or bags, to be able to see it on someone who is the same height and body type as you. And so there's stuff like that. I think something that we've really dived into, and I'm going off topic a little bit, I hope you don't mind, Brent, is as we look at like our product roadmap, is understanding the market as a whole. And I'm going to give two shout outs right now. Particle is amazing. And then there's a Helium 10 app on Amazon. And both of those will show you what people are purchasing across the web. And those have been really informative to us as we're looking at like, what does our consumer want from us? Well, we've found niches and products that we never even thought we'd go into because of those two, because you're able to like look up their sales across both their website and Amazon. And if you can plug it into a cute little Google sheet, then you can like kind of see what people are selling and how big the market is and if there's room in it still. And so as we're thinking about what are we going to put on our site, how are we going to serve our moms? Well, the natural next step is, well, where is she at in her motherhood journey and what does she want from us and how can we serve her better there? And so the products that we're going into in the next few years and what we've started to develop is based on those two apps and the information that we've been able to gather across the whole category, not just our website.
That's exciting for you. That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Maddie, wanted to come to you. As you think about, again, co-founder of Primo Golf, what opportunities do you see using data-driven digital marketing, digital merchandising to attract new customers and, to Susan's point, expand into new markets within the golf apparel space?
Yeah, I mean, Susan is spot on. We also use Particle. It kind of feels like a cheat code at times. So if you guys
You
have,
guys know what Particle is?
I can
Has
do a
any-
quick explanation. So basically what Particle does is it's able to access data from tons of online brands. So you can go in and kind of see generally, it's not 100% accurate, but they look at, inventory levels. They're able to pull, especially from brands that I believe use Shopify and others similar. They can just kind of see where inventory levels were yesterday, where they are today. You scrape that data and then kind of be like, all right, here's generally what sales are. And they can, down to products, colors.
Yeah, were you
everything.
scared when I asked you that question in
No,
our first
I knew
meeting?
exactly-
I was
I
like,
knew exactly
Maddie, how
what-
are you selling these many pairs of those black joggers a day?
I wore these for you.
Our data is not safe.
So it is kind of a weird thing because it's like, well, that means they can see into my brand, but like at the end of the day, it's competition and it's really beneficial to see those things because I mean we've gone through very similar things to what you mentioned, like as far as product development goes. A very specific example is that we were seeing a brand was selling an insane amount of LSU polos, licensed products, licensed collegiate products. So we were like, you know what, let's kind of lean into that. So we've started working with BYU and UVU and Utah State kind of to start. And it's like, wow, this is a huge opportunity, not just a small opportunity, a huge opportunity that we hadn't even considered before. And it's kind of thanks to Particle. So that's one example. I mean, another one that I can mention, we use a product called Redo, which is a local Utah company. They handle returns and exchanges, which is, I think, an overlooked part of this industry. It's a huge, you have to handle returns and exchanges. It's inevitable. You can't think that you're failing just because you have returns and exchanges, which is how we felt when we first started. We're like, how could someone return our perfect product? But now it's like, it just is what it is. So we pull data to see which of our products get returned at a higher rate than others so that our product team can be like, okay, what changes do we need to make so that we can get these percentages down? And it's really crucial because, that cuts into your margins and it's all things that can easily be overlooked. But, as we've grown, we've been able to allocate more resources towards utilizing that data.
Love that. I read something recently, and it said the brain is like a parachute. It has to be open to work. And I think the tactics that we're talking about here, having an open mind. So thank you.
Yeah.
Now we'll go back to Suzanne. What strategies do you believe will be essential for leveraging digital merchandising to create seamless and engaging shopping experiences across emerging platforms in the next few years, especially considering what's potentially going to happen at TikTok Shop in the coming weeks?
Yeah, so I think I have a lot in mind, and I'll try to narrow it down. First and foremost, must be obsessed about consumer centricity. And really how to do that is a lot about, what Jeff has already talked about, and really having CDP, customer data platform, running to gather all of the insights and intel about your shoppers to be able to use that data in a proactive manner. And to my point earlier about showing and giving the consumer what it is that she needs is really critical. So I'd say that's, first and foremost for brands, CDP is a must. The personalization that Jeff spoke to too. I mean, this is expected now. It's expected by the shopper, and that's how we get to that point. So it's definitely one of the key strategies, I'd say, for 2025. Again, not to piggyback off of what Jeff's saying, but we talked artificial intelligence. We just keep hearing more and more machine learning. Need to leverage this, leverage these for, again, really being able to deliver real-time dynamic content and personalization to the shoppers, and having that added layer of engineered the recommendation happening live, right, is important. I'd say as well, optimize for emerging platforms. So you have to optimize differently to what you guys are talking about with social versus marketplace. And I think on social, it's more about the seamless experience that the consumer has, and the seamless checkout flow, and having the right fulfillment in place, and all of that, which is something that brands all need to be focused on. And as it relates to marketplace, because we play a lot in the marketplace space as well as omni retailers, I can't emphasize enough having the right content, which seems so basic, right? Like everybody knows that nailed by now. But there's so many brands out there that have a lot of room for improvement, and I think what we've done a great job, if I can offer an example, with content, back to my earlier point, leveraging the data points in the game, able to really differentiate your product is so critical. So optimization for marketplace, optimizing PDPs in marketplace is necessary. I also think mobile, brands are focused a lot on the consumer experience, the UX, the CX. However, and the navigation and all that, but what does it look like from a checkout flow? And I see more and more brands doing a great job of this kind of one-touch checkout with Google Pay, Apple Pay. I love that as a shopper, and that is definitely another strategy for this year. To leverage digital merchandising. And if I can add two more, just as kind of thought starters. I'm losing my train of thought. But you spoke about earlier live chat. If we can take a page out of the global book, live chat is necessary for most marketplace transactions. So to start experimenting with that, that's another piece that I think is and being able to do dynamic pricing and offer live recommendations to shoppers. It's heading in that direction. So I'd say time to start.
I'll make sure we stay on track here from a time perspective. We have about 5 minutes before we open it up for Q&A. As we were, again, prepping, as we've been in you all's shoes attending events, we wanted to make sure we deliver the most value and some actionable insights. And I won't take credit for this. This was Susan's idea. We wanted to go around and just talk about what are the one or two questions you get asked the most. So in the next 5 or so minutes, we'll try to cover a few. And if we don't get all the way through it, please stop one of these members here afterwards. So Susan, I was gonna start with you. I know you had one on influencers. And when we were brainstorming, you said, how do I work with influencers? What are they paid? How do we find them? And how do we activate them?
Yeah. So I sure you get influencers make the world go round. It's almost 16 years old and we have barely started paying influencers. Up until then, we've just created a relationship of reciprocity, which has worked really well for us. So that is how we pay them. We live in Utah, and in Utah we incubate influencers. There's a factory in Draper that pops out 12 new ones every day, and I'm joking, but if you are a brand in Utah, it is so easy to start working with influencers. Have an event. We've done multiple things. My favorite thing we ever do is called Founder Friday, and our team works from home on Friday. And so we will bring in influencers for lunch. You can get a meal for $80 from Cafe Rio that's supposed to serve 8 people. Influencers don't eat, so you can invite about 20 influencers, and you will have food to send home with whoever is there. And we just give them a tour of the factory. We give them a huge swag bag. We get to know them. We ask them about their kids. We invite them to other events. And that's my favorite way to activate them to start with. And then my other thing is like influencers, they love free stuff without strings attached. And so we love to send what I lovingly refer to as the Kardashian package, because the Kardashians were our very first influencers. And we send them one of everything and say, post about it if you want. We don't really care. And they just start to integrate it into their everyday life. They love it. They start to post about it. And so that's how we've done it in the past.
I guess for any of the other members of the panel, any thoughts on that from an influencer perspective?
I can jump in. We've definitely invested heavily, and we're not as special as Susan, where she's able to get it all for free. We've paid a lot of money for influencers from the very beginning because we're just not as good at that. But what I've loved about getting to know these influencers is as you get more integrated into their lives, I think to her point, you make it very personal. I've been to the homes of some of our most successful influencer partners, and you get to know their kids, and you send them packages on their birthdays, and they become part of your personal Fab Five. They bend over backwards for you. Like this last year, one of our major partners got us onto Good Morning America. She sold like $150,000 in 1 hour. And it was because we had a relationship. She thought of our brand in a moment where someone said, hey, what are your favorite brands? That makes a difference.
I can add a little bit. We have also done a lot of this. We recently, again, golf industry. If you know about golf, you may know who someone named Grant Horvat is. If you don't know much about golf, it's completely random name to you, but he's very influential, big on YouTube, Instagram, all these things. And so he was pushing an insane amount of revenue for us for the first year that we had signed him. And we actually brought him on as a part owner to start this year, which was a very unique thing. We gave him a little bit of equity, vested over a few years, and it was kind of a risk in a way, but it's paid off big time. Kind of to your point, he's opened a few doors for us that we couldn't open ourselves. Some of you may have heard of Phil Mickelson, and because of Grant Horvat, Phil ended up wearing our joggers in a major championship this last year, and there may or may not be some exciting news coming with that next week. But again, if you're a golfer, that could be cool. If not, it's kind of whatever. But as far as our brand goes, it's huge, and it's made such a big difference. So yeah, we've done, sounds like similar to everyone else, things all across the spectrum, from just giving gear to people to kind of the other side of the spectrum, which is to give a little bit of equity to some. So, and everything in between.
Yeah, let's ask one more question of Jeff. It's one of your questions that you get asked the most. I think it's relevant specifically when you're looking at trending from e-commerce into national trade and retail. But how much to invest in innovation versus feeding the core, and how do you navigate the competitive landscape from a product roadmap perspective?
Yeah, let me be vulnerable for a second. So we just opened up a big set at Target. That's open doors because people want what Target has, but as you become bigger as a beauty brand, you get a target on your back. And so these competitors come in and to Target's credit, they're betting on the up-and-comers. They're betting on the people that are agile and hitting trend and nailing what consumers want and building community. And so for us, innovation is critical, but I would also say this: in 15 years of building a beauty brand, when you try to be all things to every consumer, you are not going to be profitable. And so innovation for us is a very fine line. And I get this question a lot of like, why don't we do claw clips, brushes, and hair ties. That's our core, and we try not to deviate. But this last year, when competitors came in hot and they're like looking at, I want what Gimme has, I have to innovate tactically. So now I have to answer the call of a competitor by saying they're offering silk pillowcases. I am now a silk pillowcase brand. And so I think innovation is tied closely to competition, but if you can be hyper focused as best you can while watching competition, you can be more profitable. Focus is profits.
Awesome. Well, I think we're at time we wanted to open this up for Q&A. And if we don't get enough questions, we've got one or two more that we can dive deeper into with the panelists here. So any questions from the group?
Yeah, this one's for Maddie. So obviously you've mentioned Grant, and you guys kind of knocked it out of the park with working with influencers and UGC. How do you guys gauge if a particular influencer or creator matches your brand's values? And then what's that initial point of contact look like? I know if Grant's a little more public, you DM'd them, you should wear a joggers, but with all those other ones, how do you gauge if they match your brand's values, and then how do you contact them initially?
Yeah, so Grant, it sounds like you might know. That's awesome. So Grant, we DM'd him probably 3 years ago. And at that point, he, was an up-and-coming influencer, pretty big at that point, and we just sent him some gear, and he'd organically wear it. We didn't have any official connection with him. But we knew, to your point, we knew that he was a serious, for us, it's always been really important to work with people that are real golfers. There's a lot of influencers that, they're big, they'll go out and do competitions where they're drinking on the course, see how many beers they can have, which is funny, right? But that doesn't really align with our brand. Whereas Grant, he's fun, great personality, but he's a real, he really cares about playing well, and he'll compete against other golfers on YouTube that it's a serious match, So it was easy for us to be yeah, this guy makes sense for us. So that's kind of how we've really limited who we work with now. When we first started, it was let's get a bunch of ambassadors, let's open it up, have people sign up. We got 2,000 people that signed up, and it was okay, this is too much. Keeping track of all of them, what they're doing, how they're sharing their code, if they're posting, it was just a nightmare. So we have really scaled it back, and we've been okay, let's just, we still have some of those, but we've made it much, we've added a few barriers to entry a little bit so that we're not just getting crazy quantity, but more focusing on quality. So yeah, I think there are a number of other ones that we've partnered with. And for us, yes, it's do they look good in our gear? Are they serious about golf? Do they have a likable personality? And do they have a good following? That's obviously a big part of it. So yeah, I know that's a quick answer to the question, but that's generally what we look for.
Anyone else? You in the back.
On the same line as influencers, we found in many cases when we approach the influencers that feel like they're perfect for our brand and align with our core values, they seem to almost overestimate their costs and charge a lot of money. And I'm well, I'll give you a free product, I'll do all sorts of great stuff. They don't seem to be very interested in collaborations, and then when you get down to it, I found it oftentimes they'll say, well, I'll just do one little tiny thing for you. But
Well, I was going to say, I know what Susan would say, because she said, we don't care if we use it or not, but go ahead.
So, sort of. So every big influencer came from somewhere. And so we go through their follow list and find the smaller, the micro influencers that they follow. And we don't use the big influencer. We use the little influencer, the smaller influencers, the micro influencers, because they're usually up and coming. They're usually willing to hustle a little bit more for the brand and for their audience. We have found that if you kind of align influencers with your sales funnel, you're going to find your macro influencers are going to sit at awareness. They're actually not going to sit at conversion. Your micro influencers are going to sit at conversion, because what happens is the macro influencers start to lose trust with their audience because they're kind of going to shill anything. And it's almost like, when they're talking about something they authentically like, and when they're talking about something they don't authentically like. But a micro influencer is actually going to sit at conversion a lot more. Celebrities also, you think, oh my gosh, if I could get a diaper bag on this celebrity, everything's going to change. Nothing changes. You're still the same asshole you were yesterday. Literally nothing changes. But if you line up your influencers with your sales funnel, it's going to give you a lot more actionable things to go after. I think if you're looking for someone who is actually going to turn the dial on sales, it's not a macro influencer, it's a micro influencer. And I'm talking less than 5,000 followers. We find that those people, their audience converts way better than someone with 100,000 followers.
I'll piggyback real quick on that. I agree, and I think it's a portfolio management. We now have a database of 5,000 influencers that we work with, and it's, to your point there, when we had to do a big back to school launch with the major retailer, we pulled in our heavy hitters and guns that brought awareness. So they have the national reach. They may not be the converters, but when they showed up with their little cute kids all dressed exactly the same as them into the Target store or whatever store, our awareness and sales within that store skyrocketed because of the awareness. I think it's that 7 times of touch. You have to hit them with the awareness, and then they'll see, okay, I shop at Target. I saw Jen there, and she bought this brush, and she likes thick brush, whatever. But and then you follow it up with your micros, and you say, okay, now all of our follow-up flows will be with the micros, reinforcing what they saw with the national campaign of awareness. So get your tool belt labeled with the right tools, different people for the right project.
Sounds a bit like it depends on where you are in your brand journey. And I think for our brands, right, as established brands, it's all about micro because it's more about driving the conversion and less about the awareness, right? So probably many brands out here are in the more awareness stage, I'd guess.
Yeah, or to both your points, if you're launching a new product, then what does the sales funnel of that look like versus, oh, we're just updating a color or whatever. Then what does the sales journey of that look like? So it's customer journey across either your website or in store versus what product category you're going into.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I have a question. So I am a new upcoming brand, and we've seen a few really big influencers post about us. But then I try to get in touch with them, and I'm like, okay, they've been using my product. They showed it on Instagram. How do I leverage that? Because we're kind of stuck at that point.
I'll just say congrats on being a builder. I love it.
She owns Slate Flosser. Have you guys ever used Slate Flosser?
I've heard of you.
It's one of my favorite products. I use it every night. It's a sonic
Vibrations, and it was invented by a dentist, so it has gum sweeps to help stimulate your...
sonic vibration flosser.
Yeah.
When you go to dentist, sorry, I'm just going to plug you real quick.
Thank you.
When you go to dentist and they measure your gums and they're 5A, whatever, my dentist was like, your gums are measuring as a younger person. It has improved my gum measurement. So if you're looking for gum health, Slate Flosser is the way to go. You get on subscription. They send, here, I'm an influencer.
Thank you.
It's a really good product. Sorry to just jump in. Go ahead.
I just wonder if we could tag the moderator for this one. You're in the teeth space. What would you do?
Great point.
Yeah, I think you and I need to talk. Our brand is also founded by a dentist as well. And I think, again, just with our brand, when we first launched, we launched on e-commerce and then built slowly retail through naturals, which is a lot of work and not a lot of revenue. And we really became prominent on Amazon. And, we had a lot of difficulty reaching the right influencers. And what Susan said, it's all for us about micros with high engagement rates and brand alignment, making sure that they're not posting things on their platforms that run counter to our own, brand values. And that's something that I think is phenomenal. And then from just a product perspective, one of the unique things that we've done with a lot of our influencers is sample programs and sending free gratis product, tag tag us in a post, send that product to 7 friends. For us, we are the only non-toxic whitening strip on the market, clinically proven as effective as the leading brand, blah, blah, blah. But we say, take the 7-day Lumino challenge. Use our product for 7 days, take before and after pictures, post it. And that's really been valuable at certain times in our brand journey. And kind of where we are now, we're still driving awareness because we're in a very boring category. No one really thinks about oral health until you have a problem. And we're obviously at the same time driving conversion because we have, major retail partners like Walmart and Target, where we have national distribution that we need to make sure we perform at. So I think for us, the best bang for our buck is in that space. And then as we've grown, we've launched our first national linear television campaign last June. And within 9 weeks of launch, we had a legacy brand come over the top of it, triple their spend, and target our placements. And so those are things that, when you're looking at social versus a more in-depth national media campaign, you can really get a lot of bang for your buck. But I think it's, again, all about picking that right influencer partner.
Right here.
Hey guys, my question's. Oh, thanks, bud.
Yeah.
You may or may not be able to answer it, guys, but how do you balance stocking trend-driven products with traditional bestsellers to meet customer demands while minimizing the risk of overstocking? So, people say, stock trend-setting products, but if you overcapitalize, you got a bunch of stock that's not going to sell. Do you guys have any experiences with this?
It's like the hair on your body. Yes, we all have experience with this. Yes.
I mean, I can talk about it. For us, it's been more of an art than a science. We try to keep track of historical sales data and lead times and, figuring out, okay, it's going to take this long to get this product if we sell it this quickly with it, because that's how quickly we sold it before. What we have seen is that there are certain colors that just always sell better. Blacks and whites and light grays. Like, as much as it's fun to sell like a maroon jogger, and some of our customers absolutely love it, like, we definitely ordered too many. We called it our wine jogger. We ordered too many. And so then it just the sell-through rate is way lower, and then you hold on to that product for longer. And again, it's just been a matter of making sure that we're focusing on improvement so that for future orders, we get it more precise. But again, for us, it's been more of an art than a science.
I'm so curious with the expiration date stuff, right? You too.
Oh,
Your consumer brands.
I was going to say, expiration date. That's a challenge.
In consumables specifically, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big challenge. I'm not sure that I have a great answer for that one. But I think, as a former merchant and in the apparel world as well, so much of a shift from where I am today, I think you got to look at the sales first and then let that dictate your inventory levels. Like, how much of your sales are coming from newness versus your core. And it has to be, an analytical decision to help guide your inventory levels with regard to new product.
Whatever you do, don't hire McKinsey to figure it out for you.
No, don't.
And I'll just add one thing. If you have an expiry, like a shelf life CPG product, create a relationship with an off-price retailer.
Yes.
We have a strong relationship that I've built over the last 8 years with TJX. And we produce product for them that we can feed them regularly so that when we come through a time frame, like for example, when we run like a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal on Amazon, we'll come in at like 1,100% increase in sales. And sometimes we'll overestimate what we have. And then also too, like, we're getting targeted from that same legacy brand on shelf everywhere, where they're running, Walmart bucks, or they're running TPRs, they're running, BOGOs. And that hasn't impacted somewhat, in terms of what we can push and move through our trade partners. And so making sure that we have that strong, relationship. And then also too, like, we're just doing a really like subtle packaging amplification but we need to flow out some of our old packaging. And so, I've done, 3 deals in the last 6 weeks of $1.5 million each with this off-price retailer to push that product out. Because yes, they're getting it at a lower cost, but it's driving a ton of trial too, right? So it's not a loss. You're going to sacrifice some margin, but you're going to drive a ton of trial through those programs. And my favorite, I worked with all of them, but my favorite is TJX, to give them a bump, because Marshall's, TJ Maxx is exactly the customer that we're after.
Well, and they have 2,000 stores. And so if you sell 10,000 products into it, it's only 5 per store. It's gone.
Yeah, and they typically flow through like 2 to 3 per, and then they have like a lag of like 3 weeks. So you're not constantly there. So it doesn't threaten your national distribution.
We've done the same with dollar stores that our products are very low price, but the off-price retailers, we're making almost our full margin at a liquidation, sample seeding initiative. But the dollar stores have also been able to take truckloads of stuff that's last season or whatever and just get it gone fast. The other thing is maybe even crossing the border to Canada has been a good move to not taint the brand too much.
I think we had a question in the back we missed a few times. Somebody had their hand up. Yeah.
I just have a question because, thank you. We are creating a first mover product that would go to a lot of different industries. And so my question is, how big do I want to start? Because I'm worried, obviously, about competitors coming in and picking up on these other industries. Or do I start small, focus on one, and then expand to the others? Or, do I get a little bit here, a little bit there? Like, what's the best market strategy?
I can start, and you guys can. From our perspective, I would start small. I mean, specifically, like for us, when we started, it was Facebook and Instagram ads, and so, to be able to test those out, you want to target specific markets, and there's, it's pretty crazy how accurate you can get with who you target. So specifically with that, if you do target one market, it is easier to test to see what's working and what's not. I mean, of course, you could go the other way and test out a bunch of different markets, but then you're having to spend more across a bunch of different segments. So for us, being so targeted on a specific market was really important.
I love builders, and one of my I have a dream moments is I'd love to build an ecosystem like this where we can, and Retail Collective is a very strong effort to accomplish this, but is to create resources that will allow you to dream big. I'm a visionary and I'm a dreamer, but I had someone ask that same exact question on a product that is a really trendy ingredient. It's a beauty care item. And I said, if you really believe in it, let's get you resources that allows you to jump in and own it before the competitors do. So it kind of comes down to your gut feel. If you feel like you're going to lose your future potential growth and an ability to create a ton of value and first mover advantage, let's get you the resources and let's help you dream big and go get it. But start small by testing things out to validate so that when you go do it, you're ready to win.
I think we had a question over here.
Yeah, I'm curious on the marketing that you're using that's working. Like in addition to influencers, are you seeing trends?
Was that Mike?
Sorry. I'm interested in the marketing that you're using for your brands as far as reaching your consumers. In addition to influencers, particularly with mobile marketing, what are you seeing out there as far as trends? What's working as far as reaching your consumers through marketing channels?
Other than Primo and their Instagram ads on
email, text. Don't send a picture on text. It costs you 4 times as much and isn't as effective. Emails, TikTok, which bye-bye, and YouTube, everything. You got to kind of try a little bit of everything.
I'm a big proponent of 360 marketing. So how to hit everywhere and look consistent and seamless across all of the different things. So through display and and email and homepage, and it's really got to be and social as well. Not just influencer, but posts. It's all got to look really cohesive. Seems like a bit of a no-brainer, but I think the 360 approach really does work.
I think it also too. I won't call anybody out, but someone here is at a very popular beverage brand that's not on the stage. He should actually be moderating the panel as well. He can kick me off. But I think it depends on your category. If you think about my daughter, she's in college, was recently in high school, and she had 16 Stanley mugs. We didn't know where to put them all, and I an ad other than what she was looking at on TikTok and Instagram. And so I think it probably a little bit depends on the actual consumer you're targeting. I've been at multi-billion-dollar companies for Elmer's glue or Sharpie markers, and I think it really just depends on who you're targeting, and I would factor that into your marketing mix.
Something that you mentioned, Susan, is that you like to figure out where the moms are. And I think probably the same, kind of to the same point that you made, I think one of the best compliments that I ever get from someone that either I know or someone that finds out that I'm involved with Primo and they are aware of us is they say, man, I see you guys everywhere. And that's what we're trying to portray, because some people won't have that experience. If you're not a golfer or you're not in our age group, you probably won't see our ads. But I think that's the key, is just understanding your customer. Where are they, to Susan's point, and just focusing on if you can convince them that you're everywhere, they're going to feel like, well, I guess this brand's legit, so I'll go ahead and buy it.
Smoke and mirrors.
We have about 4 more minutes. 1 or 2 more questions? Right here.
Suzanne mentioned content and having content, and that's kind of like, shouldn't everyone have that figured out? And PDPs, and your PDP should be optimized. Content that was good today might not be good tomorrow. How do you keep that relevant? Your PDP might be more static, but other places, how do you keep your content? So
We just rolled out a really fun. I mean, most of us are in Shopify or some way, but there's a lot of widgets and apps that you can roll in that now curate content from your ambassador programs, or that bring up the latest TikTok trend video right into the price and value proposition. And we've seen they basically are having a TikTok experience in our website, but to your point, you can't just set your website and hope for sales. You've got to be keeping that fresh. So I think tapping into your social or any kind of press you get and letting it flow right into that product listing page, those reviews, bring video and try to encourage that, incentivize that through loyalty programs and things like that. But it's a great question.
One more. Any final questions? Oh, we've got one.
My question's about the tools that you guys mentioned, like Helium 10 and Particle. If you have some storefront products or something that you do refurbish tools, what tools can you use and stuff to know where to put your product, like Amazon or Facebook Marketplace, other trade secrets that you might want to let us know?
I just wonder if I could spin this question and guide us if I'm off, but big, I guess, controversy in CPG is, should I place my product on Amazon or should I build my website and invest there? And I don't know if there are tools, maybe the rest of the panel knows, but I would be curious to hear from this group. And we've got a pattern expert here, an Amazon expert. But I've heard many CPG brands. You've heard of Dude Wipes, huge brand, great marketing. They're pushing all their eggs into the Amazon basket. That is where they drive all their efforts because people check out, their conversions easier. But in my opinion, you don't get the consumer data. You don't have that rich reach. So did I go too off? Let's talk about tools of how do you make those decisions.
Don't you think it depends on the product, right? I feel like there are some things I will buy on Amazon because it's not worth it for me to go over to their website to purchase. And maybe Dude Wipes might be one of those things. I'm friends with, gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Snot Sucker. Do you guys remember if you have babies? The Snot Sucker? Yes. Okay. Frida Baby, yes. And she says we have to be in Walmart or Target because if you have a stuffed up baby, you don't have time to wait for a shipment.
True. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I think it just depends on the product and where your consumers are shopping. For a diaper bag, we find it's a pretty long shopping process. And so our website or Amazon kind of doesn't matter, and we're happy either way.
I was just going to say, I think diversification is really important. That's one of my favorite words, probably the former merchant in me. I think that, it does definitely depend on the brand journey, the product category. I would agree with Susan 100% there. But definitely want to think about, how to serve your consumer if something fails, or when marketplaces make decisions that impact all of us, right? Not naming any names, but when certain things change and the rules of engagement are different, how do you have the data? How do you it depends a lot on what products and brand where you're at, but. I do believe in diversification and having different opportunities and selling channels. I just built and launched a direct-to-consumer fulfillment for our organization, but typically our brands are going to be in Walmart, Target, Amazon, because the consumer doesn't want to wait. And I also have a partnership with Instacart. But I do think that for, like many of us remember in COVID, you couldn't get products because they were sold out. So being able to have the capability is where I think it's important to be direct to consumer.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, thank you to the panelists and a fellow moderator. Great crew up here. Please reach out to the panelists or myself if you have any questions. And the next session will be in 15 minutes on the third floor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.